Football's almost here. The wholesome one is here. So you get here, lock it in, settle in for the next 60 talking Canes. Leave those comments and questions. You know the drill. You ultimately produce the show. Wholesome one, how's it going tonight?
Tonight's going good. It's going good. We're getting through. School starts almost across the country this upcoming Tuesday. So a lot of people are getting that going, and camp is getting towards the end here, and it's almost time to really break down the X's and O's. Mark, it's almost time for some Canes football and college football. Period.
Yeah, we are only 9 days away from college football from Ireland with Northwestern and Nebraska, and a number of games being played in the States next Saturday, including your favorite school. They're in Tallahassee taking on the Dukes of Duquesne.
Oh yeah, go Dukes, go Dukes.
Well, we know what
I
happened
thought I
last
thought
time
it
that
was gonna
you took
be.
on an FCS school.
I'm just saying.
You never know.
I'm just saying.
You never
Hey, but
know.
we turned around and lost to that same school. So hey, you got to be able to go out there and handle it when it's your time. Jackson State handled it. University of Miami did not. But it's the greatest blessing in disguise because we got Coach Cristobal and this staff, all of the staff, not just him. It's a unit.
So, unfortunately, this is pretty much the only downside of August camp as we get news coming in and video clips, and we can all look forward to week one is injuries. It's part of the game. It's part of sports. It's especially part of football. Trevante Citizen would be the one guy that here in the last few days has gone down. What do we know about the four-star running backs situation?
Not too much has come out publicly as to what the injury is, and it's just been speculation that it'll be anywhere from a 2, maybe 3 week hiatus for our running back. I'm a little nervous about that, Mark, but the beautiful part about it is it's not a catastrophic injury. If it was, I think they would have let that be out there. If it's an ACL, if it's a Achilles, if it's a hamstring, okay. And I know what it's like personally for injuries. They can linger and they can be pretty rough. But if we can get the young man to go ahead and get it handled, get it taken care of, and we can move on, there's going to be a long, long upcoming season where hopefully Miami is not just playing 12 games, we're playing 13, 14 games. What I mean by that is making the ACC championship game and making it to a New Year's Six bowl game, if not the college football playoffs. Now, that's wishful thinking, but what I'm saying is it's more time for this young man and other young men on our team if they are nursing injuries. Just like I spoke about last week when we were doing the H1H show here on MarkRogersTV, Miami Hurricanes football. I talked about the injuries to, Mallory. I talked about the injuries to Zion Nelson. When it comes to these young men, we want to make sure that they are ready to go mainly for ACC play. We're not going to ignore the big SEC night game that we have against Texas A&M in College Station on primetime ABC TV. Everybody's going to be tuning in. Okay, but those are, again, 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks after the start of the season. I'm not trying to disrespect or down talk the great Bethune-Cookman University, Hale Wildcats, alma mater of my father and my grandfather. But, they will not push the University of Miami to the ways that a Texas A&M, a North Carolina, these kind of teams will push us. So if we do have to hold the young man back for precautionary reasons, it makes sense to go ahead and handle it in that way. So, and we also have a staff of former head coaches, former coordinators, and great nutrition and strength conditioning folks that are around these young men 24/7 or as much as they can be legally, and they're able to handle it in the right way. So any of the decisions that are made, I'm really behind it, Mark, because I trust the people now running the program, and not just Coach Mario Cristobal, not just Coach Gaddis and Coach Steele and Coach Strong and Coach Taylor and Coach Wright and Coach Salavea, all these people that have come from not only really, really good experience as players, now as coaches, they have the experience of how to handle our young men and how to handle uh, how things should be ran at the University of Miami.
Wholesome one, of course, with your career aspirations and currently what you're doing right now, so I don't want to put it in those terms that it's just a career aspiration. It is your career right now, but obviously
Mhm.
in the development phase of continuing on your path. Um, you know, the redshirt rule has changed obviously in the last 4 or 5 years, whatever it's been, to 4 games. And I got to think that I can't think in any way that that's been a negative in any such way. If anything,
Mhm.
it's provided that year of development for a player where they're not thrown right into it. But at the same time, hey, they will get some looks in some games and they will get those reps against guys with other colored jerseys on that may not be the most meaningful reps in the world. Or if there is an injury, they can recover from that, still get, even if they were a key player, but they got hurt after 3 games or something, they still maintain that year of eligibility. It just seems like a win-win across the board.
Absolutely. And the thing is, Mark, it's only 1/3 of the season. And then we're able to make a decision after that. And it doesn't have to be the first 4 games of the season. You could hold a young man off and he never step on the field. And that's the thing. It's not just he could go out there for kickoff, and that's considered a game. If he plays it down, that counts. It is considered a game. All right. So you could get to those last 4 games of the season. You could just do the last game of the season, the ACC championship game, the semifinal, and then the final, and still count it as a red shirt because it's up to 4 games. The moment that they play a fifth, then they burn that opportunity or lose that opportunity for a red shirt. And I think it's not only good for the program, it's amazing for these young men because they get a chance to see what it feels like to get out there against these athletic and well built and also scheme offenses and defenses that they line up against. More likely than not, if we're recruiting at a high level, we're recruiting against a guy who was the man on almost every field he got on. Now he gets out there and the quarterback's reading him. He's a DN, someone's reading him. He wants to slam down and hit the quarterback or slam down and hit the running back. The QB keeps it, takes it 60 yards. You have to be able to think while also playing, and that takes some time for young men. So being able to give them that chance to redshirt, give them that chance in the weight room and nutrition, handle that, plus your your schooling, and just be able to hold psychologically, it's important. It's important for them. And the beautiful part, Mark, for the first time in a while, we're going to be having a FCS opponent in Bethune-Cookman. I think another FCS opponent. I think Middleton State. Are they P5? No, they're FCS.
You're a G5. Middle
Okay.
Tennessee State? Yeah.
Oh, G5, Group
You're
of
a
Five. Yeah,
G5.
you're right. So you have FCS and then 2 Group of 5 programs in Middle Tennessee State and Southern Miss. Years before, we had stuff. We are hopping out here against Alabama. We hopping out against LSU and against Florida, and we to the point where we had a team that went out there against Central Michigan that was flat and almost lost to them. It happens that way. So you have to be mindful. We got to be careful in our approach. But I think we got the right team, the right leadership, where a lot of that stuff won't be issues.
All right, Wholesome One, appreciate you being here and making this happen every Thursday night. Everybody show your appreciation. Of course, hit the like button, do all those good things. We got Falcon Rex here. As always, appreciate you, man. Finally, H1H, I am jonesing for some Canes talk right there.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Wholesome One, you mentioned the term dog days. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not going to say I've experienced it, even though I did play high school football, but to this degree, it won't even come close. So dog days, what does that do to a team? What's important to get through? Just, kind of talk that through in regards to what that's like.
These are the days where, Mark, we're pulling in the practice 11, 12. We're coming off of the first scrimmage. And you get to the point where it starts to feel like you're kind of draining you're drained. You're burnt out, okay? And not only is it just physical, and you're beat up, and you have the ice bath, the finger hurt, shoulder hurt, ankles, hand, all this stuff. Working out doesn't stop either. You still have to go to lifts. You still have to go to meetings. You still have to go meet with your advisor now to get your classes ready for Tuesday. That's right around the corner. So the reason why we call them dog days is because it starts to not only just be about football, it's about getting your mind and body prepared physically and mentally for what's going to be stepping into the academic year that is right around the corner while you've already been beat up for almost about a month now, all physically. Okay, now you also have these tests that you got to pass in order to get on that travel team and get on the first or second team, get on the 2 deep. Okay, because coaches aren't just going to go out there and throw you because you're the 6'5", 250-pound outside linebacker, defensive end, or the 6'1", 200-pound cornerback. That just is an athlete. You have to be able to get it psychologically also. You must know what defense we're in, what call was just made. Not just, you know what, I'm checking the man just because I'm going to play man and at worst play man. Just go with the guy in front of you. Not at that level. Not at the University of Miami's level. It's a different level of college football. And that's why it is important that you have sports psychologists that are there to be able to help these young men and call them and check on them. How you doing today? Is everything okay mentally? How are you feeling? Are you drained? Is something really hurting? All right. Did somebody say something to you? You know, what's going on? Team brawls, team fight. That's what you get a bunch of that stuff going on now, Mark. Somebody pushes you after the play. You don't even think twice about it. You just rile off and swing on them. Bam! And then you got a big brawl that's going on. That's what these dog days, it can be grueling on you, man. But you know, you go from that amazing, positive feeling of football is back and camp is here. And you hit about a week and a half, 2 weeks in, and man, oh man, it's grueling. And that's why you need the leadership. That's why you need to have your second and your third teams built up. You need to be able to have your walk-on program. Okay, you need to be able to have days where we go out and we do things like Coach Cristobal did, where they rented out a theme park, a local theme park, water park, and the team was there enjoying time, them and their family there. Okay, you go out bowling, you go out and do top golf. All of those things are very, very vital and important because you have to be able to have some of that stress come down, and the young men need those camaraderie. Okay, they need that camaraderie to be able to keep it going because the game can be grueling and it's physically and mentally demanding. You have to have an environment where it's conducive to continue to keep going.
All right, folks. Voice of College Football. Lock it in. Get on over to the Wholesome Ones channel as well and show him some love and respect. Subscribe over there. And you got to hit the bell for the notifications, especially in the Wholesome Ones channel, because he doesn't know when he's going live. But you got to be ready. You got to be ready. You got to be ready over here, but you especially got to be ready over there. So just know he's running all over the place. He does the live streams when he can. So that's why you subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications. You get notified and you can be there.
There it is. Yeah, I missed this week, Mark. I don't even know if you got a chance to re-listen to last week, but woo, I was battling some sickness last week, man. And that's, again, the dog days of camp. It does that to you. You don't get enough rest.
I caught a little bit, and I can tell you were struggling a little bit, but I appreciate you filling in while I was dealing with some things. So thank you so much for that.
But that's why I ended up missing my own live. It had turned out to be, a toothache, and also had an ear infection at the same time.
If I would have known that, I would have said, let's just cancel it.
No. This was this previous Monday.
Okay.
For my personal show is when that happened. Man, I couldn't even move. So it's funny to hear you say you don't know when I'll be live, because people were calling me like, hey, are you all right, man? Because you missed your Monday show. I was going through it, but hey, God got me, baby. We here, we back up. I'm feeling good, and we're here.
Nice. We'll see if you can follow this line of logic here. Wholesome One, ZZ West is asking, is offensive coordinator overrated since top-level recruits like he talking about Jaron Williams? Who's he talking about? I don't know. Williams haven't committed to top-level quarterback play from Van Dyke and Garcia.
I would love if ZZ West could explain a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
Because first off, who is Williams? Okay, that's a very, very common last name.
A lot of them out there.
And we have I think we have a quarterback by the last name of Williams that has committed to Miami. So I'm confused on that end. Okay, well, let's try to get the second half of what you're saying. Hakeem. Oh, Hakeem Williams, the receiver. Okay. So are you asking, is this offensive coordinator overrated? Or are you saying the play caller period doesn't matter? It's about talent acquisition. Okay. Thank you, ZZ West. Hopefully you are here. Thank you for answering these questions while we're going. So he answered the question by saying Coach Josh Gaddis. So what he's asking, I'll fill it in for all of you all who are trying to follow it. Okay. ZZ West is asking, is Josh Gaddis overrated since top-level recruits, which is 5-star wide receiver Hakeem Williams, haven't committed to top-level quarterback play from TBD. I don't know about Jake Garcia having top-level quarterback play. He's had 16 career snaps. So let's leave that as it may. All right, ZZ West, I'm gonna be bluntly honest with you. Not even give you a media answer. Let me just tell you the truth here. South Florida talent is tired of the University of Miami not giving them back what they deserve as far as producing what we give them, meaning 4-star and 5-star elite dog talent out of Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County, and giving them first rounders. It's that simple. A lot of people get upset with South Florida commits. Or why don't y'all just blindly follow the University of Miami? Why don't you just blindly go and buy into Miami? When we start to play games, and now Coach Cristobal, all of his verbiage is going to turn out into wins and losses, you will see the blind faith develop again from South Florida recruits. But for the longest, we have not given them back what should have been brought out, okay? What was happening is these young men would go to Alabama. They go to Ohio State. They committed to Jimbo Fisher at Tallahassee, and he would spit them out into the first and second round. These young men would come to Miami, and the best they could get is Duke Johnson in the third round, Chad Thomas in the third round. Well, we would have guys like Tracy Howard go undrafted. Now, sometimes we did have young men from Dade and Broward County that turned out, and they kept grinding, and they came all the way through. Artie Burns was from Miami Northwestern and was a first-round draft pick out of Miami Northwestern, out of University of Miami. So I'm not saying that all of them suck. But what we do have to understand is the local coaches, these local prospects, they also want to see it come to fruition. And I have no problem with that. I have no quarrel with that because I understand the pain. I understand 5-star Darnell Harris said, I don't want to be Chad Thomas. And that's no disrespect to Chad. I love Major 9. I get where they're coming from, but they don't want to be these 5-star guys and have the pressure of the hometown and it not turn into them being developed and them being put and prepped for the NFL. And we put them out to make them big-time millionaires in the first and second round. So I would not say that Coach Josh Gaddis is overrated, number one, mainly because he hasn't coached a game here yet. And he just won the Boros Award. And the team that he was calling plays for was one game away from the national championship game. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's Coach Josh Gaddis' fault. Number one, he doesn't have any ties to South Florida, so I don't see that being a big issue. All right, but it's going to take some time. And it could be within a couple months that we will have these answers and we will see an influx. And like I said, even in the words of Coach Mario Cristobal, there will be a second wave. And in my opinion, what he meant by the second wave of commits and recruits is when we start playing ball and the results come out the way that the results come out and the style of play that people can be proud of that I believe we were going to put out there on the football field, we will have a second wave of commits come to the University of Miami. Thank you, KK West, for your question.
Our man Joey Foster, West Virginia fan and a huge supporter of the voice of college football, says, why is Miami so high on their defense under Kevin Steele? Do you not remember what West Virginia did in 2012? That was in the Orange Bowl with Geno Smith at the controls that got him fired from Clemson.
Okay, Joey Foster. I don't know if this is a joke, but did you bring up a game from 10 years ago?
Yeah.
But I'll be respectful and answer your question. I think a lot of people are excited about the University of Miami's defense, mainly because of the player development. And it's not just Coach Kevin Steele. We're going to have Charlie Strong, Coach Adai. You got Coach Wright. You got Joe Salavea. We also have JT. We got Ed Reed helping and coaching over there. All right, it's a different kind of mindset. It's different unit building on that staff. Okay, and at the end of the day, I get it. But the same things were brought up about Coach Manny Diaz and what he did at Texas and what BYU did to him at Texas. And his first couple of years here on defense were pretty darn good at Miami. So there's a lot that goes into what coaches go through in building units. And it's not just something that you could write up. It's not just something that you could just make pop like this. And you bring up a game where he did get him annihilated and they couldn't stop it. I was there. I was at the West Virginia Clemson game in the Orange Bowl. There's a big difference in the way that defense is played, the way that we coach defense, the way we coach cornerbacks, linebackers, okay? And yeah, they went nuts on them, and that happens. Okay. All right, man. Again, like I said, I'll be respectful, but answer your questions. But I don't think you're being disrespectful. You're just asking the question from your perspective. And although 10 years ago was my very first response, I think I've given enough in that response to you. We're going to see what Coach does with this staff and this team and his supporting staff. And we're going to line up and play Miami Hurricanes football in 2022. And, hopefully West Virginia has a good season, okay? God bless.
I will respond to that a little bit differently, but in the same vein that you bring up the coach, bring up any coach in the history of college football or the NFL, and I will list the games in which they were embarrassed. Nobody's immune to it. If you coach long enough and you coach against elite competition, then it's going to happen. Nick Saban lost the national championship game by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It happens to everyone. Urban Meyer lost a playoff game 31-0. He also went like 17-3 in postseason games. So.
No, I know Joey's he's a good dude, man.
Yeah, he is.
He helped set up the connection with me and Golden Blue dude. Shout out to him. So, we shared the screen already together. We gave him his congratulations on touching 10,000.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was cool.
All right. What are we looking for here? We got Bobby. Thank you so much for the contribution, sir.
Bobby!
Do you think this defense has the ability to be better than 2017, or will we need to wait until 2023?
Well, the 2017 Miami Hurricanes team was a very aggressive defense. I loved it. It was nice at the time. Now, in hindsight, you go back and you watch and you say we lived off of turnovers. And the way that we got to that nice 10 win was there was about a 4-game stretch where we averaged 4 turnovers a game. Now, depending on it and making things happen, it's all up into your interpretation. Did we trick the quarterback into throwing that interception, or did he make a dumb read? Okay. And now when it comes to a forced fumble, that's different. Nobody's trying to give you the football, okay? You go out there and you punch that ball out, you force that. Okay. Now we also have to fall on the football. Now, the 2017 defense was a very talented defense. Okay, you talk about guys NFL. You had third round pick defensive end Chad Thomas. You had fifth round pick, three technique R.J. McIntosh. You had seventh round pick Kendrick Norton, fifth round pick John Garvin, fourth round pick middle linebacker, fourth round pick free safety, sixth round pick strong safety. You had your number one corner Mike Jackson was also a fifth round pick. So you had NFL guys, day three U on that side in 2017. But we talk about talent, we're going to have to see. That's the thing. A lot of these young men have not been put in the situation that Coach Steele and his supporting staff is going to put our players in. We're coming out, and the first thing that Coach Steele is saying, everyone asks him, what's his defense? And his response back to them is, who are we playing? What down is it? And what offensive personnel are we going up against? If it dictates we come out in a 52 defense and we hold the offensive line and linebackers scrape over, we'll do that. If we come out against Joe Burrow kind of spread, a 5-4-5 wide, and I have to come out there in a 3-1-7 and just sit back in coverage and let it all come to me and we rally to the football, we'll do that. You have to be able to play situational football at this point. And that's kind of stuff that I love to hear from our defensive coordinator. So I don't necessarily know if it will be statistically and turnovers and glitz and glamour and flash. It's going to be a very physical unit, and they're going to know what they're doing, and they're going to rally to the football. Now, those three things I could say in my study of a Kevin Steele defense is they're going to be very physical. They're going to know what they're doing, and they're going to rally to the football. The other stuff will come. Okay, you do those three things, turnovers will come. Forced fumbles will come. Interceptions will come. Being ranked in the top 10 total defense will come if we can do those things at a very, very high level.
Well, I most notably remember Kevin Steele from his days at Auburn, and they had really good defenses.
Ferocious.
When you mentioned
Ferocious.
physical up front, their defensive lines were right there with Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State defensive fronts. They had top 5 to 8 defensive fronts in the nation, and they produced NFL defensive backs. They were really good on defense for those 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Kevin Steele, he knows what he's doing. Again, Mark, I don't know. Let's pop quiz. Do you remember my 2 coordinators that I wanted Miami to go after? I was wrong with both of them. It's a spoiler.
Both on defense or on each side of the ball?
Offense and defense. Who were the 2 that I wanted? I set it the last 2 times.
You said it when?
The last 2. I've even reiterated the 2 coordinators I wanted at Miami.
The last 2 shows?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. I wanted the chat to get it too. I think the chat will get it too. I've tweeted about it. I've said it.
Huh. Who you wanted as OC? I'm gonna.
There it is, CJ Taylor.
Okay, well, I can't see the chat. Okay, I don't want to waste half the show trying to remember. Did you want Will Muschamp?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's one of them. That's one of them.
OC. Who would you have wanted? OC. I'm going to take a shot in the dark. Kevin Wilson. Oh. Sark? Who's his OC right now? I don't remember.
The one before Sark.
Oh, Tom Herman. Yes, I do remember you saying Tom Herman. Yeah.
Because then we went down the line of, Texas, and I was saying that they shouldn't have fired him and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, those are my two. And again, those two, the reason why I wanted that is the head coach experience, and they were known for these aggressive offenses, aggressive defenses. And that was the thing. And being overly aggressive on defense has come to bite a lot of us in the behind. You know, even I don't like to keep bringing him up, but Coach Diaz, over time, his over aggressive nature was read by the teams in the coastal, and he wasn't able to kind of pivot. And his only pivot was going from the 4-3 to the 4-2-5, but it was still overly aggressive, and teams knew what to do. And if you could block his front seven and his blitzes, then you pick them apart. Well, now we're going to be able to have some answers to those. It won't just be plan A, plan B. We're going to have plan C, D, E going down there.
I know some people in the chat may roll their eyes when I ask this question because we always want to be forward thinking. That's why recruiting's so hot and everybody talks recruiting constantly because it's the next thing and it's way out ahead and we're so close to the season. Obviously, we want to focus on the season, but I'm curious, since you brought up that name, I always like to get your perspective in this way. At what point in Manny Diaz's tenure at Miami, was it a particular game or stretch of games did you think, okay, he's not the guy?
Okay. Honestly, with you, it had to be 2020. It was the UNC one, and I understand the FIU loss. I understood. I don't understand. In hindsight, I
Yeah.
in the moment I was very angry. Losses to Duke, La Tech, FIU in the same season, but then recruiting took a step up in 2020 because of COVID, and people weren't able to go other places, so they committed to Miami, and you know it was just buy-in and things of that nature. Uh, it was that UNC that it was heartbreaking, and it was mainly so heart wrenching and angry because we knew it was nothing he could do to stop nothing, and they knew that. They knew what our check would be. So they always made sure they motioned or had a certain set to where the DB would be where a linebacker is supposed to be, and they would run right at him because they knew what our play call was going to be. And it was nothing we could do. There was no defensive line slide. There was nothing that was going to happen to make the changes necessary to stop them. And to set the records like we did, Mark, I mean, people, you couldn't run for that much playing on easy on NCAA. And we did it in real life. Thank God it's not talked about as much as it was then, but that was the nail in the coffin for me. And then when he was brought back in 21, he just was being hopeful that things would get better, and they didn't. But that was the game. And then from that moment on, I felt like it was just gradual bum, 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 bum.
As our buddy Joey's letting everyone know, we got 104 watching right now and 49 likes. So when you see that there's about 100 people watching right now, that means there's probably been about 400 people watching. So we should have or could have 400 likes right now. So at least everybody watching right now could easily just hit the like button and get us to 100 very easily. Also, I just dropped in the chat the Amazon link. So I'll put it this way. I looked this up, Wholesome One, the other day. I've looked up two stats on Amazon since we've got an Amazon link. Number one, how many people do you think go on Amazon? Just in the United States, not even around the world, just in the United States.
In one day?
This was for a month.
Oh, 6 million.
160 million.
Jesus.
So that is half of the country That doesn't count all the people that go on like 50 times in a month, but half the country goes on Amazon at least once a month. And so we got an Amazon link. And so here's my next question. How much do you think Amazon is worth? How much the company's worth?
2.3 billion.
1.6 trillion. That's how big
I was way off.
Yeah,
Amazon is both of them, I was way off.
Amazon is a monstrosity. So I try to tell people this all the time. If you spend $100 on Amazon, who gets $100? Well, Amazon gets the full $100. So since they're worth $1.6 trillion, and the voice of college football, this might be a shock to some people out there. We're not quite worth 1.6 trillion. Not quite. So why don't you send like $2 to me and the 98 to Amazon and just use our link? It's this, you don't spend a penny. It's the same shopping experience. You don't spend any more money, folks. Just you can send a few our way. All right. Back to football. Tim, when is the 2003 Fiesta Bowl watch party for the voice of college football and the wholesome one? Oh boy.
Tim, I usually always give you the strike or whatever you guys call it for USC. I usually show respect and love, and I don't know why you had to take that shot at your boy, but it's all good.
He just wants to kick back and enjoy the fun, enjoy the fireworks.
Why bring that up? We were having such a good time. Just you want to bring this is one thing to bring up to get both of us riled up. The other thing is the Elvis stuff. Oh. Those two things we won't ever come to an agreement on.
Wholesome one. I shouldn't even say this publicly, but we'll get on the phone one time. You got to give me this one time. We'll get on the phone, and you give me about 15 or 20 minutes to convince you, just to give you some facts. That's on the okay. Second one.
That's fine, and I will continue to have my one fact that trumps the entire thing, and it throws it all in the back, just like that. That's it.
Okay. All right.
Hey, listen.
I don't know what that is exactly, but
exactly. So when I spring the trap on you, boom.
Okay. All right.
Oh man.
I might have a bunch of haymakers, so just be ready.
That's all right. That's all right. You know, we might have to do this on recording. How about this? For you all in the chat, do you all want to see Mark Rogers TV go 1-on-1 with the great H1H debating Michael Jackson versus Elvis?
Oh, that's going to be, I didn't know that was going to be the debate. That's fine. That can be the debate too.
Give me a 1 in the chat if that's
I didn't think that was going to be the debate.
Just put a 1 in the chat if you guys want to see that. Mark Rogers go 1-on-1 with the great H1H. It'll be fun. I would love it.
Okay. We can do that. Falcon Rex, 61 FSU trolls watching because they got nothing to do, I guess. Falcon Rex, I want Miami USC natty game.
Hey, I wanted that for the longest. You know that, Mark. I've always wanted that one. I'm torn.
Man. Ned Student King, wholesome one. After striking out on a few DBs, we're getting back to football here. We could throw this one. Maybe Joey comes to my aid here. Again,
I feel like that's just trolling. And that's okay. Opinions are opinions. I think people should have their opinions, and that shouldn't have to cross certain boundaries and throw jabs to uplift one another.
If we take on that debate, we're both going to walk away with the same exact opinion. It's not going to matter.
As you should.
Okay.
You should be able to stand on your opinion, to have facts to back it up. Now, if we start to get into like political debates or that kind of stuff where it's like hard evidence that could affect people and groups of people, that's
Yeah.
separate. But just discussing your favorite, no one could tell me that there's a better middle linebacker than Ray Lewis. I don't care if there's a guy 100 years from now that has 20,000 solo tackles. I'm always say Ray Lewis is my guy. It's just that simple.
But in a sports debate, the facts are more meaningful.
How is that?
So, for example, if somebody said, if somebody said Jaron Williams is the greatest quarterback in the history of Miami football, what would be your response? Well,
I would say they're wrong.
sure.
And there's other things that I could bring in there, as far as the fact he never won a conference, he never won his
Sure. You
division,
bring
never won a
facts.
championship. Right. Yeah. I mean,
When
you
you're
can
talking,
do that
when you're
music.
talking about musical artists, you can bring all sorts of facts to the table if you want to say, if you want to base it on popularity. But if you just want to base it on who do you think is better, well, then that's just the ear. That's just
Right. I mean, you could get into who wrote that music. You could get into influence on people. You could get into
yeah, you can't prove
spells.
that.
Huh?
Yeah, if you're talking about influence on people, that can only be proven to a certain extent. But
Absolutely. And that's where I get what you're saying. There's more concrete evidence,
yeah, in
statistically
sport,
proven when it comes to sports. Hey, this young man went out and did this. This woman went out and did that. When it comes to music, it's subjective because it's how we feel, what it's done to you and for you, because I personally can't stand Eminem, but that doesn't mean that he's not one of the best rappers. He's an amazing artist. He can do what he does. I just can't stand him. That's just me though.
med student Kane Wholesome, after striking out on a few DBs as of late, Bonsu and Aguero, would us potentially landing Cormani make up for these recent losses?
I don't know if it's turned into the fact that it can make up for. It would be a great feeling. You land Kamari Rogers, he would be the highest rated cornerback in University of Miami history to sign with Miami. It's that simple. We had a couple of borderline guys that turned out to be 5 stars committed to us when they were committed to our previous defensive backs coach, who was a turncoat and went to Alabama on us. Okay. They were committed to Miami, and at that time, they were the highest to commit to Miami. All right. We don't really have, defensive end and cornerback. Those aren't our best historical positions. Okay. So historically, recruiting those positions haven't been the absolute best. Okay. So if we were to land Kamari Rogers, that would be amazing. It would be out of this world to land a big time cornerback like that, to land on the scene, especially for us. And I get where you're coming from as far as the fact that we've lost these other ones. So could this make the fan base pipe down a little bit, feel a little better? Absolutely. To answer your question, I would say that. But I think we should fix our minds to understand all recruitment is different. All situations for these young men are different. And their influence on what would happen if they were to eventually sign and be here at Miami is different. Our safety room is deep. Our safety room is heavily talented. And if you were to go player by player, it's arguably a top 10, 5 to 10 safety room in the country. We got some big time prospects in that safety room. And they have to come out here and play. But if Kamari Rogers was to walk in, come to Miami today, he would be, not saying that we would have to go out there and earn it, but he would be the best cornerback like that. So just saying.
Just to give Tim a little time here. So he wasn't.
Oh, good. I'm just messing with you, dog.
I understand where he's at on this. He basically is just saying, let's watch one of the great historic national championship games of all time, and then see the reaction at the end, and
Yeah.
see see the breakdown and the analysis. I still haven't had anybody answer for me if we stream a game on here. Like if I share the screen and we start breaking down plays, like we could do that this season. You know, after the Texas A&M any game, we could grab a you know, a cut down version from YouTube and just let it roll while we're talking the whole time. I don't know if that gets flagged or not.
I've had this happen where I try to do reviews and they do flag it, and if we're live, they would cut our feed and we would have to start it back up again. Now, if
Yeah.
we did a pre-recorded one and uploaded and demonetized it, it could stay up. But if we're live reviewing something, they will cut your feed.
All right, folks. So there you go. So if you want, whether that's, it's beautiful.
Thank
See,
you. Thank you.
it's a great compliment.
It is. Oh, and it's Carmani McClain. Thank you, Milton Too Funny TV. I should know that. Again, I'm not necessarily the recruiting guy. That's Cam Underwood. I'm sorry. Kamari Rogers was a recruit last year, so
Yeah.
I probably should have known that. And I'm sorry. I do apologize. I should have gotten that right. It's Carmani McClain. Thank you for letting me know. Only because assuming is the first problem that a lot of people have issues with. So I'm not assuming that everyone knew what I was trying to say, but thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to correct myself. Kermani McClain was the cornerback recruit I was talking about and saying that it would help Miami if he would commit, especially fan-wise, and would be the highest rated cornerback to commit to the University of Miami and sign with the University of Miami in our history. Thank you.
So whether it's with the Wholesome One or with any other analysts that I have on that break down other teams, I would love to do some kind of film segment, but basically it would need to be financed. Basically a sponsor, we would need to get a sponsor or have folks step up and say, you know, we will finance the for you guys to do it, because like the Wholesome One says, it would be demonetized.
But it would be great, especially if we did like the 20-minute cut up, like a highlights version of it. Because to sit on here and do a 3-hour one would be.
No.
I would love every second of it, but I don't know if Mark might start snooze festing if I'm talking about the fact that I knew it was going to be a run based on the tight split and the heavy hand of the right guard and how the left guard is a foot back.
I would love all of that.
On the TV.
I would love all. I just don't know if I got 3 hours to do that, but I would love that. That wouldn't be the problem with that. Would be me losing interest, because that I wouldn't.
Okay. I wouldn't mind it. You know, I tell you what, I don't know if we would start out with that game, because there's a couple plays in that game that I would get pretty upset about. And we could watch so many angles, and me and you would never come to an understanding. And we would just kind of, it would be awkward silence, just staring into the screen. You know, but at the end of the day, I tell you what, I will admit, you all have allowed the outcome of that game, controversial or not, to propel you into building a sustainable program that's been borderline elite, if not elite, for ever since that game happened. Excluding the year under Luke Fickell, where he was learning, and then you turned it around the next year under Coach Urban Meyer. We had not. And I would love if we had the kind of sustained success and ability that Ohio State brings to the table. Now, it's amazing what you guys are doing in that program. And I know you try to be a bipartisan, but we all know who you root for, and you know who you're punching the air and screaming up and down for when they play Michigan, and you're trying to make it seem like a rivalry when it's not, and it's a blowout by halftime.
Tim comes up with a great idea here. My viewers, they come up with better ideas than I do. They could do a much better job running a YouTube channel than I do. I just get on here and produce content. Sounds like a great Patreon show. So we would get the folks to contribute on Patreon. Perfect.
I would love that. You know, again, even if we let it be known, hey, this is going to be demonetized. If you all love the content that you bring it to the table, go ahead and donate. I promise you, Mark, a bunch of people would say, all right, it's five, it's five, it's five, it's five, it's five, to just get us on here and let us go, let us go in. We could even do something positive. The top 20 plays of college football season. We just watch that together and break it down. I think it will be exciting.
Huh. Okay. Joey, Mark and H1H, all you have to do is challenge it with YouTube for fair use rights. Okay, we're not going to get into all that, but I appreciate the suggestion there, Joey. Also, just search for Creative Commons and use that one. Okay. I don't know anything about that because, again, my YouTube channel's been clear of all that kind of stuff because I just get on here with myself and guess and break it down, and I've not dealt with any of that.
J-Love T says, just take my money.
There it is.
Appreciate you, man. But there was a comment. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Lemansky says, H1H, enjoyed your discussion with Corey regarding tight end U. I watched it, thinking Miami will have a very good year. Love you bringing history to life.
Thank you. That was an amazing experience. Corey was a chat about it, man. He was a really good. I didn't know that a Miami guy and an Iowa guy would come together so well. But then we started talking about college football and Miami joining the Big Ten, and it just kind of flowed. And we're very personal people, and we just got a chance to talk. And man, the chat was eating it up, and I loved it. I loved it. Corey, thank you so much. We got to do part 2 because last time we were on, we did the college football debate as far as tight end U in college. We want to do another. We're going to run it back and do the NFL factory debate as far as what these guys did in the NFL statistically, debating between Iowa and Miami. So we'll set apart a whole show for that one, Mark.
I don't know if Corey's a big NFL guy. I shouldn't speak for him, but I think he told me that he's, he'll watch the NFL, but he's not a big NFL guy because I had told him way before he ever met you, way before that show. I told Corey, I said, yeah, the Wholesome One and I said, we've only done it a few times, but 3 or 4 times we could stay on for another hour and a half talking about the NFL. We're not even talking about college football much. We're just talking about the NFL. I love the NFL.
It's great. I like one of the other things about the NFL that now that I'm kind of, I'm in coaching, we go to these meetings, we go to these seminars. The other thing that you don't realize is their aggressive fight towards competitive balance. I mean, their formula is nice. You got teams who are in the same division to where it doesn't get too cultural or it doesn't get too geographical. You got a team that's in the same division where one's in Boston, the other one is in Miami, and the other one is in New York, the other one's in Buffalo. But they're all right there. Okay, you look at another one, one's in Kansas City, one's in Denver, Colorado, the other one is in California, the other one is in Vegas. It doesn't get too geographical. And that's the part that I genuinely like about it is it's not too homey and it's not too regional. That's what I was looking for, not geographical, regional, where it just gets kind of cut off to where we look at what's happened the last 10 years of college football. Although we love the sport, we can't argue that majority of it has been just focused on the southeastern region of our country when there's good ball played all over. And if you take some time and you watch Pac-12 after dark, you watch some Big Ten football, you watch some Group of 5 ball, even some FCS ball, you'll be really surprised at the quality of football that is all the way across it.
Bobby, we're going to get to your comment in just a second, but just because this flows more with the conversation, Falcon Rex says, I'm a Miami guy who splits time in Iowa. I love both football cultures. Very different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You all know I'm a born and bred Miami guy who came and played my ball here in North Dakota. Okay, so you talk about polar opposites, but you come in and you learn, and until I got my welcome to college football moment that happened. But you you gain a love and appreciation of where you're from. You have pride in where you're from, and everybody swears that where they're from plays big time football. The guys from Minnesota feel like it. The guys from Iowa, the guys from us Florida boys, us Georgia guys, Texas, all of them felt like it. And we had to come together. Okay, and you had those debates in the locker room, but when you went out there, you represented a different institution as far as all of us together. You grew an appreciation for the different styles and different cultures that came together to go in and achieve a common goal. And that's one of the beautiful parts of football in of itself, but more specifically, the sport that we love, college football.
My daughter's waiting to talk to her dad, so we'll wrap it up with this super chat.
I'm not getting in between that.
Bobby, thank you so much for the contribution. Appreciate you being here, and for 2 super chats out of you tonight. Thank you so much for that. Some of these pending recruits will drop when we start winning the big national games like Texas A&M Clemson. We need at least one of the 2. 10 wins and a nice bowl win. Prefer a Clemson win over Texas A&M, obviously.
Come on, Bobby. Let's go. Thank you, Bobby, because it's facts. It's 100% facts. And Mark, I'll let you go. I don't want to go into too long of a soliloquy here. But I think what you bring to the table is all I've been basically trying not to say. You put it out there. It's the fact that we can't blame these big-time young men. Some have already bought in. Panay Sewell and Francis, Marigoa and Panay Sewell. Panay Sewell went to Oregon. Lord of my mercy. But Francis Marigoa, I'm working on it, guys. I messed up. My bad. I'm sorry. Francis Marigoa committed. We got a big-time quarterback that's committed, okay? Some of those young men have bought in. But we cannot blame other young men for not falling in line blindly until they see us go out here and handle business on the football field. And guess what? We will have 12 regularly scheduled opportunities to prove it. Now, although maybe only 9 of those 12 really mean something to, a 3-star hire, and only 2 of them mean something to probably elite prospects, we will have those opportunities. And if you go out there with a team that doesn't look scared, that doesn't look ill-prepared, that wants to hit them in the mouth and shows a culture that young men want to be a part of, then they will join. Until then, we're talking. But eventually, you'll get an opportunity to go out there and prove it and show it. And it won't just be about hashtags and T-shirts and talking. It'll be about the fact that Miami went out there and won a football game. They handled business. It's on to the next week. And these young men will fall in line.
He's the one and only Wholesome One Holloway right here on YouTube. Check out his channel if you haven't already. And I'm going to guess that there are people watching right now that have watched a ton of the Wholesome One, but they're not subscribed. That's just, we know that. We just know that statistically. We talk about statistics in football all the time. Both the Wholesome One and I know that we have tons of people on our channels that watch all the time, but they don't subscribe for whatever reason. I don't get it. So please subscribe here. Get on over to the Wholesome One's channel right now and subscribe there as well.
Thank you. Got a donation on the way out. Appreciate it. This most donations on the show, man. Everybody happy? They showing that money because it's almost game day, baby. It's almost game time, Mark.
Thanks, Wholesome One. We'll see you next Thursday, man. You make this go. Appreciate it.